So in this lesson, we want to open Adobe Dimension and find you a starting point, find you models or assets that come as close as possible to the packaging you're hoping to create. And there are both basic or included assets and also premium assets you can access in Adobe Dimension. So the starter assets, that's the default view you'll see. If you're in the design view, and you have starter assets selected from the drop down, and some of these basic shapes like the cube, and as we scroll a little further, one of the options I've used here is the pipe. That gives us a good enough starting point to model something, and in fact I'll show you an example here of a project I created, and these are the rendered exports using those shapes, just using a simple cube and a pipe. So feel free to look through the starter assets, find the closest fit, but there is another way. And if I scroll across in my artboard, you'll see the difference between the starter asset and something someone has modeled professionally and then uploaded to the Adobe Marketplace. So, this has a little bit of extra style. The bottom's a little bit narrower than the top of a votive. It actually has the wax inside as a separate element. It also has the wick inside as a separate element. So there are some advantages to using the premium assets, and I'll just move myself out of the way here so that as I scroll to the bottom of the starter assets, you can see where to access that extra content. So you've got a hyperlink here, browse Adobe stock, and when you click on this, it comes up with a full 3D marketplace, and these are all elements you can license and you can import in to Dimension. So if we search for candle, for example, you can see there's quite a range of models people have created, and here's the one that I've licensed. So feel free to have a look at that. See if there's something that more closely matches what you're hoping to create. If you have purchased a premium asset, that should actually appear in your library. In the top left, where it says starter assets, if you instead click the drop down and go to libraries, give it a few minutes to sync that to your account, but you should actually find those assets in there. And I'll share just a few tips to help you navigate around Dimension in order to do this. So from the pane we have under starter assets, you do have filters. So you could filter by model, by material, which we'll come to, by lighting, which we'll also come to, and then by image. So under models, to drag a model onto our kind of 3D canvas, you literally do just that. You click, drag, and release. And you'll notice there are control handles for any selected object. You just left click to select. And there are 3 axes. The green is Y, the red or pink is X, and the blue is Z. And the outermost arrow on each of these axes, if you click and drag, allows you to move along that axis. The circular control handle on either of the axes, if you click and drag, allows you to rotate along that same axis. And finally, the square control handle on either of these axes will allow you to scale along that axis. If you hold the shift modifier key, then it will allow you to scale proportionately, which is useful. You can use Control or Command Z to undo. So I'll undo the changes I made there. And with an object selected, if you hit backspace, that will delete it. Something else you'll find useful when an object is selected, over on the right hand side here you've got a scene window. Each object is represented by a folder, and within that folder, if it has different elements, you'll find them there. So for our votive here, we've got wax, and I can actually toggle the visibility to hide those elements, which is another way to see which element you're working with separately. And we'll look in the next class at changing the materials and the colors of these assets. Another set of tools you'll need to get around this software are the camera tools. So your mouse wheel allows you to zoom in and out. Holding spacebar and then right clicking and dragging allows you to pan around the canvas, and simply right clicking and dragging allows you to orbit the camera. So using those simple tools, the software is really intuitive. You can probably dive straight into it and start using it just given those few techniques. If you are someone that would like to learn a bit more about Dimension before continuing, well, I do have another class where we take you through all of Dimension's functionality and how to use it with confidence. But for the purposes of this class, I'll focus on just sharing with you what we need to create this project specifically. So I've actually selected the models I'm going to use. You can see here, these were some of the options I found. Just a plain starter cube, or there was this option for a sliding box, which is quite nice. And also this one, which is my favorite. And I've managed to adjust for scaling because I didn't quite like this where it was 50-50. I wanted a bit more space at the top to play with my artwork. So to accomplish that, I simply selected the box, scaled the entire thing down, not proportionately, to get the base and the ribbon in the position I wanted. And then looking in the folder, I selected just the top and scaled that up to the proportions I wanted. And there we've customized that model ready to be used. So it depends on the model you've downloaded, but often if they have individual elements, you can scale those individually to customize it further. So if I move across here, these are the final models I'll be using. They didn't come with this black and gold finish, so in the next lesson I'll teach you how to customize the materials to get the effect you're looking for.